Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing experts Robert O'Haver and Matt Weber. Powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Search Talk Live after being off a week. With me is Matt Weber of Roar Internet Marketing. Matt?
Man, it's great to have you back. I can't wait to hear about the trip.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I had a great time at PubCon Las Vegas. It was an amazing trip. I mean, that's all I could say. From my Airbnb experience with getting an excellent hotel to just going in, and actually it was overwhelming at first. When you get there, it's you really don't know what to expect if it's your first time at PubCon, and there's a million different sessions going on at the same time. Well, not literally a million, but and you really have to pick and choose what sessions you're going to go in. But I mean, one of the greatest parts was I've had so many speakers on this show that were at PubCon. So I mean, I saw Gary Ilias from Google. I saw Casey McGee, Keith Good, Stephen Spencer. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I saw your photos, and you have photos with the literal who's who of SEO on your phone.
Yeah, it was.
It's like the pantheon of SEO is on your phone right now, and you're in all the pictures.
Yeah, it was cool. Those are going to go on the wall somewhere.
Yeah. Was there anything that you got at the conference that even you said, "Damn, did not know that"?
Every session, well, I was very selective at what sessions I wanted to do. The hard part was the people that have been on the show and are friends of mine. They're all like, "Hey, you should come to my session. Hey, you should come to my session." But a lot of the times it wasn't sessions I wanted to see. It's because stuff I already knew or knew a lot of. So I had to pick and choose there as well. So it was hard. But there was sessions where, because there was so many sessions going on at the same time, I'd sit in for one, and as they started talking, and if it was something I already knew, I'd dart out and go to the next session. So,
right.
That way I could utilize the best of my time there.
Did anything shock you? Did you hear anything from any of the speakers that you said, that's crazy?
Not really. I mean, there was some stuff that Stephen Spencer, I said it on his session. He's like, you got to sit on it. It's going to be really highly technical. And he was right. It was good. It was
very technical.
Yeah, it was talking about commands, using like all in colon, title and stuff like that, those commands. And it was a little really eye-opening. So a lot of it, because I don't use a lot of it.
Man, that's great.
Yeah.
But we got a guest today that's going to probably throw out some shocking stuff, I think.
We do. Our guest today was once the co-host of the show, and did an amazing job, and his contributions to the show were amazing. And this is a really good friend of mine, and Caleb McElveen. Caleb, how's it going?
Hey guys, it is going great. I am super glad to be back and on Search Talk Live, this time as a guest. Which is, it's crazy to be on this side of things, but Matt's been doing a great job. Like I said, it was definitely an improvement, an upgrade. The show's been great, and now I'm honored to be a guest on the show.
Yes, Caleb, for those that don't know about you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
Yeah, so I have an interesting journey to where I am today. I actually started out as a teacher, doing education, and quickly, within a few years, realized, this probably isn't what I wanted to do for the next 35 years of my life. So looked into making a career change and fell into SEO, which is started out as in a link building position, which is, of course, what we'll be talking about today. And then just the snowball effect, where I was working for an agency, and then moved to Orlando, worked in-house. And now I am currently working in-house for a company called World Travel Holdings, and their brand cruiseline.com, which is kind of like the Travelocity for cruise lines and cruise booking, which is really cool, and really enjoying that.
Excellent. So, I mean, today we're going to be talking about link building strategies. And Caleb, because I know you and I've worked with you for a while, I know your strengths, and one of the strengths I would have to say is outreach and link building, and really doing a proper job at it, just doing it the right way, best practices, and we're all about that.
Right. Yeah, the wrong way is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that a lot of people don't like to do. You bring up link building, you bring up creating link building campaigns, which I kind of cringe when I hear link building campaigns, but it's extremely tough. It's evolved quite a bit. I think it's one of the things that's evolved a lot in how you're supposed to execute and build plans and follow those. But it's interesting. A lot of people don't really like to do it, or they try to do kind of the basic level stuff, hope it works, and if it doesn't work, they try to back out of it and say, okay, well, we'll just move on to something else. But it's definitely something that's extremely important, is having a healthy backlink profile that serves a ton of purposes for your website, not just for ranking purposes, but there's a ton of other things as far as driving traffic to your site, building that brand awareness, and a ton of other things. So it's something I like to do. I think I'm one of the few that like to do it, but
definitely
I enjoy it, and I'd pretty much do it almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, and with the way Penguin works nowadays, if you're not doing good quality links, you're really spinning your wheels, because those links won't count.
Right.
So it's
they're so sophisticated. Google and search engines are so sophisticated now in understanding the type of link that you're gaining and what it serves, what purpose it serves. And they basically are kind of, if you're getting those kind of old school links, they're ignoring those. It's not really doing anything for you. And that's really had to change the mindset of how people handle link building, or link earning, as I've always liked to say, as a lot of people like to say, but earning those backlinks for your website and really, really helping yourself out.
Sure. Now, one of the goals I'd like to hit during the show is kind of open people's mind to creative thought process to how you go out and get links, and some of the processes you take before you even do so, from competitive analysis and all that good stuff. Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. When I'm first thinking about a link building strategy, actually earning links, there's definitely a few things I like to look at. The real thing that I like to sit down is assess two things, and that is currently what is your current audience? Who is seeing your content? Who is seeing your site? Who is engaging with you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, whether it's through social media, organically finding your site, but who's actually engaging with your site? Because your audience is going to tell you a lot about whether you actually have link building opportunities or not. Mm-hmm. If you're engaging with a lot of people within your industry that have websites that are authoritative in certain industries that you engage with, not necessarily that you're directly competitors or anything like that, but are those kind of people engaging with your site? Do they understand or know that your content is there? So who directly is your audience and who is seeing your content? Mm-hmm. Two, what linkable assets you currently have. Do you have any, if you assess your content, if you assess your website, it's a really good thing to do a full audit, a full content audit, and really understand, do you think you have any currently, do you have any linkable assets? And if you think you do, all right, how can we build strategies around that to enhance that content and start building a strategy around that? So those are two things I really like to look at, because those are two things that you can really start hitting the ground running with and building a strategy out of those.
Right.
And then I like to kind of dive into the competitive analysis. What opportunities are they gaining that we're missing? And then the current links that we have, are those producing anything? Do we want to try to build upon those? Or is the links that we are getting, are they just completely useless?
Your second point there is really valuable, because imagine someone listening to the show and he runs a website for a plumber, or he runs a website for an electrician, and he's thinking, how do I get backlinks? And your second point is, what do you have that's worth linking to?
Right.
And the average listener to the show has got a website that talks about his or her business. But what I hear you saying is, it may, while it have good content about the business, it may not have content that brings value to someone who wants to link to it.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. you really have to sit down and think about what content are we producing. And you're right, if we're producing a lot of content around our business, content like that is good to engage with consumers and things of that nature who might want to learn more about your business. But you also have this whole other audience that you're probably not even in their realm of what they're wanting to engage with. And so you really have to understand, do we have that content that we need that's linkable? Whether we do our competitive analysis and we see that, our competitors are delivering this kind of content, but we have nothing like that. And so if you can really sit down and kind of break down your website and what you have, either you don't have any linkable assets, and that's a place to start. Now you got to understand what you start needing to produce. But if you do have something there that's not getting any links, it's a good thing to sit down and say, okay, why do we think this is not getting links, or what data is providing insights on why it's not getting links, and what can we do to improve what we currently have and build a strategy around actually driving traffic and then links to that page.
So in a lot of cases, you're creating new content or you're refreshing the old?
So the first thing I like to do is refresh the old. Okay. If we have current content that we see is there's something there, maybe it's getting some traffic, maybe it's gotten a little, it's got a lot of potential to it, maybe it's just missing some key things. And you see maybe somebody has something similar that's doing a lot better. What do they have? What can we do better? But you have content. It's always a good place, I think, to start with the current content and then really see what you can build from there. And even when you do that, you can probably start building content off of that. But start with your current content, see what you have, and then it's always easier, I think, to start with your current content, and then it's a little more difficult to, start fresh with new content and then build on that.
Now, not to get too technical, but are you just recreating the content, or are you moving it to a different location and then redirecting it so that it all looks fresh and new? And
just most of the time, it's just freshening up the content, enhancing the content. Whether we can provide a video with it, if there's any new media we can add to it to freshen that up.
I got you.
But we can stick with the same page and we'll work from there. Mm-hmm. And then 9 times out of 10, people have linkable assets, linkable content. It's just they haven't gotten in front of the right audience. Mm-hmm. Is what we find out a lot, is what I see a lot, is you have this great content. Now, where was your outreach? Just posting on Facebook Tuesday at 2:30 in the afternoon is not going to drive people to that content. And that's where the outreach strategy begins to understand who that content needs to be in front of. I've seen a lot that people have that linkable content that they just freshen up, mm-hmm. but they don't have that strategy to get it in front of the right people to where, now this person actually they are consistent writing, they produce content constantly around what I am writing about. Let's get it in front of them. They're not taking that next step. So, use the term, if you build it, they will come. That doesn't happen right here. You can't just create a piece of content and, throw it on Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest and expect just people to come and link to it. You actually have to have that strategy around that piece of content to understand who it's for, how you're going to get it to them, and what you want them to do with it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to make sure the audience knows when we say content, we could be talking about a blog post, we could be talking an infographic, we could be talking about a video, we could be talking about the results of a poll.
Yeah, there's a ton of content. I mean, it just doesn't have to be just one written out blog post. It's definitely different for different industries. Some people might, inside of a certain niche, really like to link to videos or use videos as resources. And so that might be something you want to pay attention to. That's about understanding your audience and what they do with content that they're given. They might love to link to infographics within their content. Things of that nature. Data-driven content is, we'll get into that in a little bit, but if you're not providing data-driven content with a lot of statistics and numbers and just resources, and you're missing the mark on a lot of opportunity there. But when you're reaching out to your audience and you're providing either new content or freshening up old content, understand what they like to engage with, and eventually what they like to actually link to and provide as a resource within their own content.
Yeah. Let's start with, let's say you have to create new content, and I mean, with the keyword research and the competitive analysis, and you know what you're, you know, what phrases you're going after, that type of thing, or what your who your customer is.
You're saying what do I start with?
Yes.
Or what was the question? I'm sorry.
Walk us through it.
Could you rephrase that? I'm sorry, Robert.
I'm sorry. Walk us through from, okay, I need a blog post on my website, and I'm targeting plumbers. Not just messing with you.
People who need plumbers.
Can't do plumbers.
People who need plumbers.
Yes.
People who need plumbing. So here's we always go back to plumbing. I love it. We actually have plumbers getting in. So if I'm a plumber, right, and nobody's going to link to, well, actually people do link to, I've seen it a ton of times where plumbers create YouTube videos that create videos on how to do stuff. But okay, that starts getting heavily saturated, right? There's one in a dozen on how to do this. But there's other different areas that you can go into, and one being real estate. I've actually talked to people who have been in this situation where they don't understand, okay, well, I can't just go inside the plumbing world. Is there anywhere else, or the AC world or anything like that? Where can I go? Real estate's a huge target for something like this. Mm-hmm. So if I'm a plumber and we encountered this situation right now where we're trying to sell our house, it's an older house. The house is older than I am. It's 34, 35 years old. And one of the big issues we had was plumbing, right? So if you want to go to, say, a real estate site, Redfin, Home Advisor, one of these other sites, what I would look at is they love to provide data. They love to provide statistics, charts, graphs, things of that nature that's going to impact our audience. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't I want to pull something like, is there data I can provide, say, on houses that were built before 1990, have this type of plumbing and have this many issues and this type of percentage of problems and have to spend this amount of money to fix that to be able to sell their house? I mean, it's kind of a snowball effect. There's so much data that you can provide there, and then put that all together, content, charts, graphs, statistics, numbers, that sites, real estate sites that deal with house transactions, anything related to real estate, that their users are really going to want to know that they don't have that type of data. So there's areas there. So providing, say, looking at it and saying, okay, here's how to plunge your toilet. There's a million videos on that. No plumbers are providing this type of data that homeowners, potential homeowners, sellers, they don't know about, that would be extremely useful for them in this area with these sites that focus on real estate and home ownership.
Yeah, it's really interesting because what you just described, and I would agree with you, Robert, by the way, if you're listening to the show and you're a plumber, you should be killing it right now, the number of times we talk about plumbers. But that data that you talked about, it's in that plumber's CRM.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Maybe he needs to ask another question or she needs to ask another question. But what you just did is you forced the content generator to look at what he already has from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so content generation sounds really, really hard, and it is a lot of times. But sometimes it's just a matter of removing yourself and looking at it at another way. And you probably do have a great story to tell if you just look at it from a different angle.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's hit the nail on the head, Matt. Is you have so many resources available to you, and it's hard to see. Sometimes it does take kind of taking a step back, and you can even go real simple and just look at previous orders you've had, look at previous issues you've had. Did anything stand out? Did anything just crazy stand out? Was there something that you can just go to the table where people they haven't thought about this? You see homeowners constantly ask this question. You have your consumers ask constant questions. That's one thing I like to tell people to pay attention to, is how many questions are you getting around a specific topic. That's one great place to start when you're trying to generate new content. And plumbers, for instance, or whether you do HVAC or whatever it may be, you're in their homes, and whenever a plumber comes to our house or HVAC or anything, I'm asking tons and tons of questions because I want to know what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how much money I'm going to spend, essentially. But, I want to know what's going on. And so why not pay attention to these things? You're in the trenches. you have all this data, you have these questions, you have these numbers. I know you might want to think, okay, well, let's just provide some data on how to snake a toilet or how to replace your Freon or whatever it may be. But there's so much to that, more in depth that you can get and more micro that you can get that's actually going to be useful for a larger audience than you think it is.
That's a good opportunity to get some testimonials too, right, from the your customer.
Yeah,
but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up real quick because I did see this. A customer took a picture of the plumber because he was wearing a shirt, and on the back he had printed a butt crack on the shirt.
I did see that.
And above that had the name of his plumbing company. To me, that's a genius. That's thinking totally out of the box because
that is brand awareness right there.
Yeah, and it's funny because she took it on social media and it went viral. Everybody saw it, and this guy's plumbing company and everything else is shown with that fake butt crack. But I thought it was funny.
Now there's a tree trimming guy in Winter Springs here outside of Orlando, and every time he does a piece of work, he finds some interesting design in the wood where it's cut, and he takes a picture of it and he says, "What do you see in nature's art?" And it's usually something very attractive, and he puts it on social media with that hashtag, and then he's made a collection of these photo albums on his website, which are really aesthetically pleasing, of what do you see in nature's art. And they are just product of his work. He was going to cut the tree down anyway. So all he did was take the picture of it. And now he's got content that attracts links from all over the place on his website.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's definitely the thinking out of the box way to do it. And that's totally organic, natural.
Yes.
Right.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Totally organic.
Totally organic. Yeah, I mean, it does take kind of thinking out of the box because, I love reading these blog posts and seeing these videos about how to get links. And it's these sites that are just have been around forever and they're in the financial industry. And it's like, Mint.com or one of those. If you produce this kind of content, you're going to get links. Well, yeah, of course you're going to get links because you have millions and millions of people who read your content. But for something like that, it's just not that easy. You can't produce just a simple piece of content and expect people to link to it. There is a thinking outside the box mentality that you have to have, and it's extremely difficult. It's not easy and it's challenging. And I like to use the baseball analogy is that when you're batting 300 in Major League Baseball, you're making millions of dollars a year. And so sometimes that's how you have to think about it is if I'm batting 300 when it comes to creating excellent content, actually generating links out of that, I think you're doing pretty excellent with it. You're not going to bat 1,000, but it's definitely a difficult task.
Yeah. So let's talk about other tools that you may use when you're doing this. Are you using like Core? I mean, not Quora. To kind of to gauge what stories are getting the shares and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can use. I like to use sites like BuzzSumo's a really good one to start out with, just to see what content is getting the eyes, is getting the shares, because social media is going to play a big part in how you reach your audience. I think that's a great way to start, and especially they do have insights on how if this individual links to this type of content, what kind, what's their recent shares, what are they engaging with. And that's always a great place to start because you want to get that audience. You want to start building a relationship with that audience. And that's kind of a key term is relationship is a big part of it. Because I think cold emailing, though it works rarely, is kind of almost is pretty much dead. As people have become so numb to getting these emails on, can I write for you? Why don't you read this? I've never met you before, but all this kind of stuff. Can I get this? Can I get this? Can I get this? So that kind of stuff's dead. It's all about diving into that audience and really engaging with them. And they know right off the bat what you're there for.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when I started out, I don't know, I was sending hundreds of emails a day just asking for a link or, hey, can we write for you or whatever it may be for our clients when I was working in the agency. And that worked back then. Now people are scared to link. They don't want to link to you. They put their guard up immediately and they become so numb to it. So I like to get insights on the audience, get in their circle and start engaging. And I'll let them know on the front end, like, I like your content. I like all this. I'm reading this. Can I ask questions about this and that? But within that, just building that core relationship, and things will snowball off of that. So I like to use sites like BuzzSumo, Majestic, and Ahrefs to do a lot of my link building analysis on my links, as well as a competitive analysis. You can really understand what your competitors are doing, where they're getting links from, how they're getting links, what type of content is drawing links within your industry, and kind of start building strategies around that on what type of content you're going to produce. So those are kind of the tools I like to start out with and use. And then honestly, I'm on Twitter every day, kind of diving into Twitter, seeing what's going on, replying to people, talking to people, kind of getting in their industry, even on LinkedIn, talking to people. So it's much more, there's a lot more engagement with it. There's a lot more active you have to be much more productive instead of just cold emailing people and just sending out thousands of emails.
Yeah, because you talked about in the competitive analysis, you're going to look at what content your competitors have. Yep. And then you can look to see if anybody's linking to that content.
Yes.
So then if your mission is to create a better piece of content of that topic, then you've got an already made audience to go out and solicit your link, because you know people who are already predisposed to linking and having an appetite for that content.
Right. No, absolutely. If they are linking to your competitor, or not even necessarily your competitor, but content that is very similar to what you're producing, there's an opportunity right there. And not that you have to create the same content and then say, hey, I saw you link to them, but so will you link to me, kind of thing. That doesn't have to be it, but you can start understanding what their kind of like, what does their production look like as far as their own content? Do they follow any type of trends or anything like that? And that's a good way to start saying, okay, I see they like producing content around this. I see they like providing their audience this type of content. I see they like when you're actively discussing on their blog, when you're engaging with other users, things of that nature. Really understand what their activity is, what they pay attention to, and just start acting upon it. Start being in their world. Sure. And it takes a little time. I will say it takes a little bit of time, but start kind of proving yourself, and then really understand what trends they follow, what they like to link to, what they like to do, and then you can start saying, okay, what can we do? What can we produce that they're going to find absolutely useful? And want to link to it and want to share with their audience.
Now, not to jump back, but I did want to mention, I mean, creating a relationship with people on social media, I think is a great way to approach it too, because not only you can do, let's say you can do influencer marketing where you can write stories on that particular person or that type of thing, or someone that has that same interest. And somebody you've already made a relationship because you're engaging with them on social media and just say, hey, I thought you'd be interested in this. You want to check it out or something,
No, absolutely. Sending resources. The worst thing I get on a daily basis is somebody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and then I automatically get a DM about something. It's a headache. And I can't believe people still do that kind of thing. But when I'm engaging somebody with Twitter, or I follow them because they're sharing excellent content, or I see that, hey, they're a big time influencer, what I'm trying to do, let's follow with them, let's start responding to some stuff, let's ask them questions. They're going to be more accepting of, and be like, hey, John Doe, I saw this excellent resource. Could you give me some, or I wrote this excellent resource. Would you mind providing some feedback on it? Or what do you think of it? Or things of that nature. Yeah, they understand you're asking for something and probably what the end game is, but they're going to be more accepting to actually click on it, open it, and read it.
Yeah.
But you just better make sure that when you send them something, it's actually extremely good and it's actually top notch. Because if you send them some crap,
Mm-hmm.
Next time, they're not going to open it. They're not even going to think about taking a look at it.
Yeah, and to me, it's better off, not DM them the information, send it to them in a tweet. So, it's not like it's, because me, as soon as I see a DM, I'm like, it's automated. It's not a person. So
and it's easier for them to retweet.
Oh, absolutely.
Easier for them to, absolutely. It can depend on what kind of relationship that you have with them. But yeah, if you want to just, tweet it at them, heck, why not? Especially if you've had some engagement with them and tweeted at them. I mean, it's more eyes on it. It's organic. It's not out of the ordinary for you to do something like that for sure. But that goes back to, you have to start that engagement. You have to start building that relationship, and that kind of thing takes time. People don't want to take that time to do that kind of stuff. It's really big in the SEO industry. They're extremely active, but in other industries, people just don't want to take that time. They don't think they're going to see any ROI from that. I hate that ROI. They don't think they're going to see any ROI on that, because you can't just send them that cold tweet or that cold DM and expect something out of it. No, you have to engage with them almost on a daily basis inside of that, with that audience.
All right, Caleb, hold that thought. We got to take a break real quick.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. Check out robertpalmercompanies.com for more information.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. homevalue.com.
Get your questions in on Twitter. Type hashtag Search Talk Live and your question. Now back to the show.
All right, we're back. You're just tuning in. We're talking with Caleb McElveen, SEO expert and master of link building.
There can only be one.
Steelers fan.
Absolutely. Steelers.
I wanted to catch up a little bit. We were just talking about starting to get into the solicitation of links and some techniques for that. How do you vet out the people that you're going to potentially seek a link from? Because it's possible to get a link from somebody that's going to do you more harm than good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question. And you vet that out by basically taking a look at their content, taking a look at what they do. And I think you can really start to be able to judge on whether that's going to be a good relationship for you or not. What kind of content are they producing? What does their site look like? What does their content look like? That's why you need to be a part of their world. You need to engage with their content. You need to get a good understanding of who they are, what they provide to their audience, and whether that's going to be good for your audience as well, and whether that relationship is going to mesh and be something that you actually need. So, yeah, I mean, you that's why cold emailing people, that's why just sending out an email and asking for a link. A lot of those people you don't want linking to you. When you send that cold email, and be like, oh, heck yeah, I'll link to you. I'll send that, because they're linking out to thousands of other websites that are extremely spammy, or they have links that are extremely spammy. So you really need to understand, and it's good to use tools like Majestic Ahrefs and some of these others, just to kind of do a little vetting and understanding what their backlink profile looks like as well. Because it's all kind of that guilty by association kind of thing. I know, my parents told me that in high school. If you're riding with somebody that's doing something wrong, whether you're doing it or not, you're going to get that guilty by association kind of thing, and that's what you don't want to be a part of.
Sure. So true in link building.
And that's one conversation I had with Gary Ilias at the PubCon about link building. And we talked a little bit about the disavow file and how often you should use it, and if you should use it at all, because of the way Penguin works now. His words, and he said this before, but I mean, so it's not news, but he said, if you're doing everything right, regardless if you're, as long as you're not doing something wrong, there's no reason you should disavow something.
Right.
If you're going out and buying 1,000 links on Fiverr or something like that, then you got something to worry about, and you better disavow them. But, and then I ran across the session where, I'm not going to say any names, but this person was like, you should be disavowing things every week. And I'm like, what? Why are you telling people that? Because you ended up shooting yourself in the foot.
Right.
So it was quite interesting. He said that, as long as you're doing everything right, or if you have a penalty, then there's reasons to do the disavow file, because I had mentioned to Gary about John Mueller from Google also saying that, even some spammy links can help your site. I'm like, what?
Right.
What kind of statement is that? But
yeah, I read that too. I definitely read that too. It's funny. Gary and John sometimes seem to contradict each other, and they kind of confuse us every once in a while. But they seem to be consistent on this. I even read that Gary said he got asked by someone about his website and what he does with bad links and stuff, and he'd even said that he's had the site for forever. He said he hadn't looked at the backlinks in 3 years because you can't always control who links to you. You can't control that, and that's why I think Google has gotten sophisticated on understanding how that link got there, what is around that link, and what the purpose of that link is. So, you don't need to go crazy with the disavow file, in my personal opinion, and I've consistently read that. And even, it's like you said, Gary and John have said that. But yeah, I do hear that too, where people like, disavow. And I've even read where if you just keep disavowing, eventually you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to just hurt yourself.
It is so tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky. So if you're doing the best practices, if you're not buying links, if you're not trying to create this blog network, just all this crazy stuff, all these bad practices, if you're not doing that, then you shouldn't have to worry about disavowing anything. Because you can't control who's all going to link to you, and they understand that. I mean, anybody can just throw a link up on their site, so they understand that. Don't go crazy with the disavow file. Yeah,
Google's well aware of those links that just happen, those bad spammy links, like ones we used to see in analytics all the time from XYZ or whatever it was.
Right.
CMalt.
Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, take us through an hour in your day. Let's pretend for a minute you got a great piece of content. You love it. You've researched it. You found 2 or 3 people that have linked previously to similar content. You've vetted them out. You've looked at their backlink profile. They seem to hang around good people. And you've said to yourself, man, if I get a backlink from these 3 people, and we're going into this thinking if I can bat 300, get 1 out of 3, I'm a winner. What's next now that you've got that?
Yeah, if I find those opportunities, the first thing I need to make sure of is to understand how that them linking to me is going to help them. How is it going to help them? And I need to basically introduce that to them on why am I presenting this to you? Whether it's a great piece of data that you're just missing that's going to make your content excellent, or whatever it may be, but I need to understand why I'm giving it to them, why I think it's going to help their content, and really, what's the purpose of the whole thing. So that's really important, because if you just send them something and then, you don't give them any context to it, what do you expect them to do with it? And that kind of goes into the next thing. What do you want them to do with it? Like, they're not mind readers. And this was a great piece of advice. I always wanted to kind of stay away from it and asking them to do something with it, or kind of giving them something to do with it. But, I've read from some of the top link builders, if you don't ask them or tell them what you would like them to do with it, whether it's share it or, hey, you have this paragraph right here, this would be a great place to put this, it would help, so on and so forth, whatever it may be. But you need to kind of give them a directive on what you would like them to do with it. You can't shy away from that kind of thing. So really kind of give them those 2 key things. And then if they have no idea who I am, that's kind of an issue. But, what bridge can I create to make them understand why I'm reaching out to them, who I am, things of that nature. So I don't want to send a template. You see all these kind of tools where you create a specific template where you can plug in your name, their website, the link, things of that nature. Unless you're doing some type of affiliate program, I would stay away from that. Be personable. I want to be personable. I want to reference something that's personal to them, that either I've gotten out of what they're doing or something they've recently produced. But you want to be personal in the email. And really not have that kind of template looking feel to it, because I will say, if you started off with something that's very vague and just kind of blah, they won't even get past the first few sentences. They will just,
it's pretty obvious when you template.
Yeah, they will go on to it. And another thing is they don't have a ton of time. Usually you're reaching out to somebody that produces content, especially if it's a big authoritative site. They probably get hundreds and thousands of emails a day almost, it seems like, to them. And so kind of be direct and to the point with it, because they want to skim through it. They're going to pick, since we're skim readers, they kind of pick out what they want to read. So be direct and to the point. Don't go on for 3 paragraphs long. Be direct and to the point, but be personable with it. Understand, help them understand on why you're providing this and how it's going to help them and their audience, and then just ask them or tell them what you want them to do with it.
Very good.
Let's say I want to acquire links that help me ascertain a geographic context and not a semantic context. So I'm a business, and I know you're getting ready to move to Asheville. Congratulations, by the way. So let's say I'm a business in Lebanon. My physical address is in Lebanon, but I want Google to associate me with Asheville. Nashville. What can I do from a link building standpoint to help get a external context about Nashville?
If you're a business in Lebanon, which is, I'm very surprised that you know about Lebanon and where that is. But if you're a business in Lebanon and and you are wanting to have that association with Nashville, it's a good thing to start building relationships with, I believe, with businesses in Nashville that are inside of your niche, there's some type of relationship there. There's some type of relativity there where, you can have some type of content on their site or things of that nature, but build those relationships. I think one good thing is if I'm if I have a healthy food shop in Nashville or in Lebanon, and I want to be associated with Nashville or I want to engage with people in Nashville, why not start interacting with either doctors or other physicians or other health-related websites or mom blogs that want to talk about producing healthy food for their children or whatever it may be, something that's local to Nashville. Start building those relationships and how you can provide content for them where they're going to start linking to you.
Nice. Good advice, man. What I'd like to run into real quick, because we're running low on time here, but I wanted to talk about one of the things we've kind of old school is we used to take something like Screaming Frog and search for a
the 404 page, or they have, they're linking out to a page that's broken, no longer there. And I have an extremely helpful resource. I have no problem in reaching out to that individual and be like, hey, I understand you have a broken link here that's not linking to a page that's no longer there. Of course, that's not good for your audience. You obviously wanted to provide a resource there. If I think this would help you, if you want to, take this and link to that. If not, completely understand, but, just want to let you know you got that link there, and it'd probably be good if you fixed it. So it's not a bad strategy at all. It can be extremely helpful for you, but I wouldn't say invest a ton of your time in it.
No.
Yeah, but if you come across those opportunities, it's not a bad thing to do it. I've seen it work. I've seen many times people just say thank you and update the link to the updated page of the same site that they were trying to link to. And then other times people are like, oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And to me, so it's definitely not a bad idea to do.
So to slow that technique down for the listeners, you're running a website that you think you might have an interest in gaining a link from through Screaming Frog, looking for broken links on that website. So you find a vulnerability or an opportunity. And once you've identified that, you reach out to that site and you say, by the way, I noticed that a page on your site is broken. Here's a piece of content that might fit the need that page was probably trying to achieve.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
you can do it that way. There's even browser extensions or other tools where you can just kind of run the URL through, and it'll check and see if it has any broken links. So I do that occasionally, or I'll start reading a piece of content, actually click on that, and it takes me to a 404, and I was trying to look for that resource. If it's a page that I'm really looking forward to getting a link from that website, and I think there's a lot of opportunities there, and I'm reading an article that they're producing, I'll check the links on there, make sure everything's good, and if I know we have something, especially if I know we have a content that's very extremely similar to what they're missing out on, I'll definitely reach out to them.
Nice.
For sure.
Caleb, can a link change in value? You've recruited a link that at the time that you did it, you thought it was fantastic. Can that link change in value, and is that something you want to keep an eye on?
I definitely think that you want to pay attention. It doesn't have to be on a daily, a weekly basis, anything of that nature, but you do want to revisit the backlinks that you have previously gained, especially ones that you gained from a while ago. That's why tools like Ahrefs and Majestic and some of these other ones that will crawl your site and check your backlinks are extremely important, because they will gain your lost links, and even sometimes websites that used to follow best practices, that used to be great A+ SEO, either haven't followed the times, and they haven't checked everything out, or they started doing spammy tactics. So you definitely want to revisit your backlinks and just double check everything and make sure everything is good. And whether you need to bring something to their attention or regain a backlink that you lost. Maybe they just forgot to transfer something over. They've updated their site, the content, whatever it may be. I've had that instance occur, and it was just a simple thing of me reaching out and be like, hey, I love this piece of content that you produced, that you were linking to me. I thought it was a great relationship. I was wondering, was there a reason that it dropped, or is there anything else I can provide? And sometimes it was just oops, my bad. We didn't transfer that over when we updated things. We'll definitely add that. So that can be the case. So you do want to continuously revisit the backlinks that you have earned.
Yeah, I'd like to add too that using like Majestic or Moz or something like that to track those links is much better than trying to track it in your Search Console, because you really only get a sample size of that, and you don't get all the links that were actually linking to your website.
Right.
So I just wanted to add that in there for the listeners.
Yeah, it can seem like a snapshot, and you can maybe, you're probably going to miss some things. So it's always good to use those tools. They kind of they dive deeper into what's going on. So they're going to come in handy for sure.
All right, let's see. What other tactics would you recommend or that you use that are really good for getting links?
Right. So I promise I'm not a spokesperson for Helper Reporter. They are not paying me at all for
I'm glad
anything.
you're bringing it up.
Because they should pay me. I should say that. I could use the money. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Use Helper Reporter. If you don't know what Helper Reporter is, it is writers, editors, websites that are looking to provide resources within their content. They're actually asking you to provide them something that they can include in their content. So there's no research having to be done. They're providing what they want, and all you have to do is provide it to them. And it's something that I have been extremely successful with. And use it. There's a free one that you can use. Get started with that if you don't want to pay. But you will get a list 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, on what they're looking for, and you can specify what industry you're in, whether it's travel, health and fitness, technology, business, tech, whatever it may be. But you'll get all these websites that are looking to help with their content, and you can be that resource. And on the other end, one of the great things that a lot of people don't do, which is one of the things I like to do when I do start working with a new content team, is you be the person asking for the resources as well.
Sure.
That is an excellent way to earn some great links, because people love to be quoted. They love their site to be linked to. They love for their name to be on your site. It's something they want to share in their newsletter. It's something they want to share with their audience on social media. And in most cases, they want to link to it as well. That's something I've been very successful with as well, is include those authoritative resources in your own content.
Sure.
And you're going to have those opportunities for links there as well.
Excellent advice.
And that's HARO.com, help a reporter out.
Yep. That's one of the
Yes.
people that spoke at the founder of RO was there at the PubCon. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So excellent tool. I do not understand why more smaller businesses do not use it to be that resource. If I had a small business, a local business, anything, I would be on there and just check it daily. Every day you're not going to get a home run, but you're going to get a few opportunities throughout the week to provide some feedback. And a lot of the times these people are begging for it, because you'll see the same inquiry, the same question pretty consistently, because they're not getting much feedback from it. So jump at those opportunities for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, another thing I wanted to add, too, that I've seen, and this is something they mentioned at PubCon. I know I keep bringing PubCon up. They should be paying me for ads, but is what a lot of content writers will do, and this is also in the SEO field as well, is they'll post something on Facebook, and then they'll boost that post, and then they target NBC and target ABC and all the different news outlets and all that stuff on Facebook. And they end up getting, TV time and radio time and people writing stories about them, and it just blowing up.
Right.
Just targeting those people, and, obviously getting the social shares and people to come visit the post. Is a really good way to get links and getting more eyes on your content.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have a strategy to drive eyes to your content.
Yeah.
It's not going to produce results and metrics on its own. I wish it would. My job would be a lot easier, but you've got to have that strategy, and whether it's social media, whether it's physical outreach, whatever it may be, you need to find what the best avenue is and start. You're going to fail, and you might as well go ahead and try things and fail and learn from those failures and actually build a systematic approach to it that's going to be successful.
Well said. I think it's time.
It's time for Believe It or Leave It. Caleb, we're going to give you 3 statements that we found on the internet, and we're going to ask you to tell our listeners whether they should believe it or whether they should leave it.
All right. I'm nervous. Let's go.
All right, here's number 1. Getting a video with a link to your website in someone else's YouTube channel that has a lot of views is a valuable backlink.
So a link within the video to your website and someone else's video.
In someone else's channel.
Someone else's channel. Believe it.
Believe it. Really? Why do you say
that? Kind of shooting it out, kind of throwing it out there, guessing.
It'd be an interesting test.
Well, it's still a disavowed link. So if it is, we haven't discovered if disavow actually passes some kind of, it's still out there, but why not?
So you've got a video. It's really popular. It's got a link in it to your website. Somebody else has got a channel in which they've kind of compiled a bunch of great videos about a topic, and they put yours in that compilation of great videos.
Oh, so you're talking about linking to your video, not your website.
No, because the link to the video, the link to your website is in your video.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
So you think that would be a valuable backlink? You say believe it.
I think any back. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Robert.
All right. Number 2. A link from a high-ranking mobile website is better for your mobile rank than a link from a better quality domain that ranks poorly on mobile.
Poorly on mobile. I'm not sure. Y'all are asking tough ones, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm just
really.
I'm like, what? A link from a high-ranking mobile website is better for your mobile rank than a link from a better quality domain that ranks poorly on mobile.
Right. So say a website doesn't have a mobile-friendly version.
Okay.
So the domain is influential, but it's not ranking well in the new mobile
It's not
index.
ranking well on mobile.
So which one do you want?
Well, I'm thinking you want one from the mobile friendly, the good mobile version, but I don't know. That's a complicated one.
I'll take them both.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take them both, but I don't know. That's a complicated one.
You got to pick one.
There's no wrong answer.
We'll go with the. Yeah, it's always going to be the wrong answer. We'll go with the mobile. We'll go with the good mobile.
We need a buzzer.
That's going to be an interesting
I'm
test. That's going to be an interesting test too. If there is a separate mobile index,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there is a separate one. Yeah.
So you've got to figure that a link from a site that does well on the mobile index is bringing more value as a link to a mobile site than a more influential domain that doesn't have a mobile friendly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a whole new world, right?
Whole new world.
Whole new world to think
mobile
about.
is a whole new world.
All right, number 3, Caleb, finish strong. I'm going to throw in a Steelers reference. No, I'm not. Google Search Console always shows a full, complete, and up-to-date list of your backlinks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no on that one. That's false.
Leave that one. All right, good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Did you want to?
Those were tough. Those
Did
were
you want
real
to do that
tough.
last one?
You want to sneak a bonus one in on
Yeah.
Caleb since he's an ex-host? All right, Robert,
man.
sneak a bonus one in.
All right, number 4. There is no need to disavow backlinks if the new ping went up with the new ping went update.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you should believe that. I wouldn't say it's 100% true, but in general, you don't need to disavow.
Yeah. If you do it, be careful.
Yeah,
You got to be extremely careful. Extremely careful.
Yeah, that's a change for a lot of people.
Yeah, we had the argument that the disavow was created for the machine learning as a base data set for that to work off of for Penguin.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So in essence, we taught Google what was wrong,
Right.
or what was bad.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
We had that conversation at Pub.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got other signals, but I got to believe that's a part of the
big one.
signal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, time for the Search Talk Live tattoo.
All right, Caleb. So what we're looking for is your best, most powerful, most succinct piece of link building advice you'd give to our audience, and it has to be tattooable, keeping in mind that Robert gets every one of these tattoos, and he has a very limited ink budget.
Man. Well, if I could sum up link building in one way, the quote would be, there are no secrets to success. It's the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. So you got to take that into consideration with your link building efforts, is that it is not easy. You got to prepare. You got to work your tail off.
Yeah.
And you're gonna fail. It's true, but you got to learn from those failures. So I would go with that quote, and I would love to see that on Mr. Robert O'Haver.
Yeah, I think that's a femur tattoo on that one. That's a long one.
I'll put it on my left cheek.
Right?
Yeah. But I think this has been great. You know, link building disappeared from the horizon for a while.
Yeah,
right?
it did.
It got such a bad reputation, and people said any link building is bad link building. So, Caleb, I think you've done a great job of bringing back the value of properly done link building and how to do it, and also letting the audience know it's not going to happen quickly. There are no shortcuts, and it all starts with having great content to link to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One last question I want to run by you.
Uh-huh.
When you're talking to clients and you're promising, or you're actually, when they say, how many backlinks can you get me a week or a month? What's your response?
Oh, man.
I had this question because, I told them, I said, this is how many hours I'm going to work on getting you quality links, but there is no guarantee on the amount of links I can give you.
That's why that's not something you want to lead with as a firm.
Right.
Right? Because it's not anything that I can commit to you that there's a measurable result.
Right. Yeah. Usually if somebody asks me that, so I was like, well, I'll tell you if you can tell me how I can win an argument with my wife. So... if you're asking that question, if somebody's asking you that question and you're preparing to do link building for them, or you're in the talks of doing that, it's probably best not to even have that relationship, because if you can't fully get them to understand that there's no number, it's a strategy. Sure, you can produce content that's going to to gain a lot of links,
Yeah.
or eventually, but there's no set number. But if that's their first question, it's not going to be a good relationship because you are going to let them down consistently.
Well, I don't know if I'd cut it that quick. I mean, because a lot of the time it's just educating the client before.
Well, yeah, you can educate them, but usually if they're coming to you with that, they're looking for hard numbers because somebody over them wants that ROI that they always talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, be careful with that. Try the education route. If it's still they want hard data, it's going to be really difficult to produce that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too. If you get that question, it's probably because they had a relationship with somebody
True.
prior to
It was a bad experience.
that did the bad techniques that we talked about, did all the automated solicitations, etc., and probably got bad links.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Absolutely.
Caleb, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. It is great to talk to you again. Have a safe trip and move up to Nashville.
Hey man, great. Good luck in Nashville.
Stay in touch.
I really appreciate it. Absolutely. Hopefully I can be a guest again. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one. And guys, thanks for listening to Search Talk Live. We are on every Tuesday, 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can get your questions in. Go into Search Talk Live. Going to Twitter, typing hashtag Search Talk Live, and we'll be back next Tuesday.
That's right. So for those of you listening to the show that are plumbers, come back next week for more great advice.
Yeah, we promise no crack.
Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
Find the true value of your home when you log on. HomeValue.com.
If you have questions for Search Talk Live, or you're interested in being a guest or a sponsor of the show, email Robert at searchtalklive.com. That's searchtalklive.com.